Let's bring in Face the Nation moderator John Dickerson, who has just been named CBS News Chief Washington Correspondent. Congratulations.
Thank you, Vlad.
So let's start with this news surrounding Michael Flynn, who's now asking, or at least his representation is asking, for immunity before agreeing to testify about the Trump campaign in Russia. How concerning should that development be to the Trump administration?
It depends. If the Trump administration is in conversation with Michael Flynn and his lawyer, then maybe they're okay. Because this could just be a lawyer's gambit. In this partisan environment, if I were a lawyer for Michael Flynn, I would say I want immunity because whether he's got any reason to ask for it or not, you never know which way the politics are going to go, and you want to be protecting your client. So you want to say he's got a lot to tell, you better give him immunity. Now, if Michael Flynn's lawyer and Michael Flynn have not been in conversation with the White House, and you would presume they wouldn't be, then the White House should be nervous because Michael Flynn was at the center of Donald Trump's campaign and his relationships with all foreign countries and his advice on all those foreign countries. So he was in the room when a lot of things were going on. Who knows what he heard, in addition to whatever he may have actively been involved in with respect to Russian influence. Remember, Michael Flynn did talk to the Russian ambassador before the election was over, and there's still lots of questions about what he talked about, the question of those sanctions that were being put on Russia, how much Donald Trump knew and all of that. So the White House should be pretty nervous if Michael Flynn were to tell everything he possibly could know.
Does it mean that he's guilty of something like Michael Flynn himself suggested not too long ago when he was talking about the Clinton email scandal? Right.
So in the Clinton case, I think it was a criminal investigation. So that might be a difference. In other words, if you're asking for immunity in a criminal investigation. But certainly by the way Donald Trump and Michael Flynn talked about immunity when it was referring to other people, obviously that they said it was a sign of their guilt. I think it certainly means that, well, if nothing else, we're back talking about Michael Flynn, which is another bad mark against the administration, that the president lost his national security advisor because he didn't tell the truth about something and got his vice president mixed up in it. So at the very least, this is the re-entrance of a player that the White House had hoped was, kind of behind them.
Yeah. So the president tweeted this morning, quote, Mike Flynn should ask for immunity in that this is a witch hunt by media and Dems of historic proportion. The strategy of the Trump administration to say, yeah, have him get immunity because this is a witch hunt, or Sean Spicer standing at the podium and saying, yes, we want Sally Yates to get up there and testify. Is that sort of the best defense is a good offense? And, we know that Donald Trump is a mentee of Roy Cohn, the 50s era lawyer, who said, you should always hit back.
Right. Well, you play the only hand you have.
Right.
And that's all that's left. To argue that this is James Comey, the director of the FBI, is not, largely considered by people a toady of the Democratic Party. People would remind you quickly that he was the one who announced Hillary Clinton's email investigation that some people think torpedoed her chances. So he's not doing this to just the Democrats. To keep going back to the Democrats, it's obvious why he's doing it. He wants to set this up as a partisan fight. He wants to delegitimize it. All of those things. He wants to suggest that this is a good decision. It was like when Hillary Clinton said that her former staffer in charge of the email system, that his immunity was a good thing. People didn't believe that at the time, and they don't believe this now, that this is a good thing for Donald Trump. So also it's sort of strange to have the president offering legal advice to a fired NSA director in legal proceedings that are investigating President Trump and his campaign. The lines have gotten pretty blurred in this.
Especially since he fired him for
not telling the truth.
Right.
Yeah, really.
Right. And obviously since then, disclosures have come out about his connections both with the Russians, then also with the Turkish government, which the White House has said led to this growing trust deficit that they said was the pretext for the reason that Donald Trump asked him to leave the White House. So it's a muddle, and the president's basically trying to do the best he can to divert from a story that's not one that he'd like to hear, because remember, he's trying to get back on track from the defeat of the American Health Care Act, which was, his second big defeat in his presidency.
Yeah, definitely. John Dickerson, thank you so much.
Congratulations again.
Thanks.
John.
Thanks.